Now, if you needed to get out in an emergency, we've already talked about the floor of the aeroplane being somewhat swilled in fuel from this lovely fuel tank down here, and the updraft, because there are gaps around the aircraft. You probably can't see on the camera, but there's plenty of gaps around this canopy frame and this windscreen. The updraft from the slipstream going across the outside of the aeroplane, sucking any vapours up into the cockpit, would be very nasty if that caught fire. Many Spitfire pilots got burnt. It wasn't as bad as the Hurricane, certainly later on when they fixed this this fuel tank system. But fire coming up from your feet gives you a lot of motivation to get out the aeroplane. Now, if I had to get out of this in a hurry, and I'm not going to do it, it's an airworthy aeroplane, I don't want to break anything and upset the people here, I pull this knob here on the canopy, and this, you can just see the Bowden cables going down around the edges here. This would pull out 2 pins, fore and aft, on either side, and the canopy itself is pushed in and locked, and it springs itself out. So as I pull that bobble, hopefully the perspex itself would spring and get taken away by the airflow, so I don't need to open my canopy, and this big lump of perspex is gone. So I can then, as with the Hurricane, unstrap my harness, undo my oxygen and radio cord. I then stand up on the seat, or lift myself, which I'll do shortly, give the control column a good kick and out through the top. Alternatively, if I have control and if I have time, bearing in mind there's flames coming up around my legs now, pulling that, roll the airplane upside down, undo my harness and fall out that way. You may want to give the stick a pull as you go as well, so the airplane comes away from you. Jury's out on that. Lots of comments on the Hurricane video as to what people would prefer. I feel motivation would be high to get out whatever you chose, and I think probably out through the top and kicking the airplane away from you might work better. Lots of different ways of doing it in the history books. Okay, so the worst has now happened. We've just been struck from behind by 109 we didn't see or we couldn't get away from. Cannon shells have come ripping into us, and our fuel tank has been punctured and is flowing into the floor here. It's sparked, flames have started to lick up around our feet, it's getting very hot, and motivation to get out is now very high. I've left the canopy open. You would now pull the toggle we talked about, pop the canopy off, and to get out in a hurry, undo your straps, undo your oxygen and your radio system. You'd then be looking to lift yourself up as best you can to get out. So I've moved my feet off the rudder pedals to a little step on the back here. Arms around the windscreen if you can. Bear in mind you might be doing 400 miles an hour, so you may be grabbing onto anything in here. I'm not going to pull anything in an airworthy aeroplane, but you may be grabbing structure to lift yourself out the seat at this point. The key now is to get up and out, but not too high that you're in the slipstream. If I stand myself up now, the traditional way I get out the aeroplane, to be about here and no further, I can then give the control column a good kick and I pop myself out the top of the aeroplane. If you go too high, you then get caught in the slipstream of the aircraft, and this is very uncomfortable. With the side panels up, you would have to lift yourself to about here and tip over one side of the aeroplane or the other, whichever you chose to do, and get yourself out. I doubt you'll be able to open this door in flight. This is not an emergency escape hatch as such, so trying to open that is just going to waste time and be quite difficult. So your option in the Spitfire is to pop that canopy, invert yourself and fall out, or get yourself to that half pulled position up, kick the control column with your foot on the way and be ejected out the aeroplane. Give yourself a good count of 3 if you can, and then pull your D-ring and open that parachute. Quite an emotional event. I don't suppose any of us really want to give that a go.